What if the mountains you've always dreamed of hiking hold secrets too terrifying to understand? The mountains have long been places of adventure and beauty, but for those who venture deep into their wilderness, the experience can sometimes turn sinister. From eerie, unexplained encounters to survival stories that seem too chilling to be true, these mountain mysteries leave you questioning what's really out there. In today's video, we explore top 8 scariest true stories from deep in the mountains, real-life encounters that have left hikers, travelers, and adventurers terrified. From strange figures lurking in the woods to mysterious disappearances, these stories are enough to make anyone rethink their next mountain adventure. Let's dive in. 1. The creepy encounter in the forest, England. 9 months ago, a couple decided to take their dogs for a walk in the countryside near Hull, in northeast England. They lived near a World War II army fort, an area full of history and mystery, and thought it would be the perfect place for a peaceful walk. But their peaceful outing turned into something far more sinister when they encountered 2 young men in camouflage. These men, covered in dirt and dust, seemed too eager to guide the couple down a secluded path through the woods. The couple was cautious but decided to take their advice and walked deeper into the woods. But as they did, strange things began to happen. The Labrador dog started sniffing around an area, rolling on the ground, and discovering what looked like a shattered rubber pig mask, covered in brown-red liquid. Flies swarmed around it, creating an unbearable stench. Feeling uneasy, the couple decided to leave, but the creepy feeling lingered as they realized they had been followed. Fishing hooks were tied to trees, aimed directly at the path. Terrified, they rushed back to their car, but as they looked back, they swore they saw a figure watching them from the trees. 2. The strange dollhouse in Shenandoah, Virginia. On a solo hiking trip in Shenandoah National Park, a man stumbled upon a dollhouse in the middle of the forest. The dollhouse was large, about 3 feet tall, and appeared to be newly built, the smell of fresh spray paint still in the air. It seemed completely out of place in the wilderness. As he approached the structure, he noticed a family photo attached to the back of the dollhouse. What made this photo strange was the way the family looked. They weren't smiling but seemed uncomfortable, as if they were being forced into the photo. The man, still disturbed by the sight, continued on with his hike. But as night approached, the wind picked up, and he heard something unusual, a man's voice in the distance, muttering to himself. The voice grew louder and louder as the man continued his hike, eventually getting closer and closer to his campsite. As the man's voice became erratic, it shifted from a frantic rant to a bizarre conversation about cheese and crackers, then back to madness. Something wasn't right, and he quickly retreated to his campsite, only to find himself too afraid to sleep. The next morning, when he passed the dollhouse site, it was completely gone, leaving behind a chilling sense that he had just encountered something far darker than just a random man in the woods. 3. The creepy encounter in the Appalachian Mountains, Virginia. A backpacker was hiking in Virginia's Appalachian Mountains when she came across a strange group of people. What seemed like an innocent encounter turned into something bizarre when 2 men approached her while she was enjoying her lunch. They asked about hiking conditions, but there was something unsettling about their demeanor. The 2 men were dirty and scruffy, giving off a creepy vibe. Despite their attempts to ignore him, the hiker felt uneasy, and when they walked away, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. That night, she camped alone in a spot she had previously passed during the day. In the middle of the night, she heard disturbing noises, growls, barking, and voices talking in the distance. Terrified, she laid in her tent, holding her breath, listening as the noises grew louder. When the sounds stopped, she thought she could finally sleep, but she wasn't alone. The next morning, the 2 men were back, and they had been watching her all night long, just outside her tent. The feeling of being hunted stayed with her as she packed up quickly and left, not daring to look behind her. 4. The Green Tent Mystery, Alabama, USA. A pair of hikers in Alabama discovered an abandoned green 2-person tent hidden deep in the woods. As they approached, the unmistakable smell of decomposition filled the air, and they found a deer carcass, surrounded by a disturbing arrangement of organs and rocks. When they looked around, they spotted a man covered in blood, standing just 20 feet away, staring at them without moving. The man seemed out of place, and his unsettling gaze only added to the unease. The hikers quickly retreated, rushing away from the area, but the man didn't follow. Shaken, they made their way back to safety. but the mysterious figure lingered in their minds long after they left the woods. 5. The Appalachian Trail Horror, USA. On a solo hiking trip along the Appalachian Trail, a hiker encountered a strange group of people who seemed friendly at first. However, after a few minutes, one of the hikers began to act oddly, talking about their transgender identity out of nowhere. The hiker thought it was strange but continued to engage, trying to shake off the unease. Later that night, the hikers encountered the same group near their campsite, and the atmosphere quickly became unsettling. As the night wore on, strange noises and laughter echoed in the woods, but the hiker dismissed it as part of the camping experience. However, suspicious events continued, making the hiker question whether the men were following them. 6. The Stalker in the Woods, California, USA. A couple of hikers in California decided to explore a remote trail but soon encountered a man in ragged clothes, staring at them from the distance. Despite their attempts to ignore him, the man seemed to follow them deeper into the woods, and the hikers grew uneasy with every step they took. They decided to camp in a secluded spot, trying to distance themselves from the strange man, but the presence of someone watching them persisted. Unnerving sounds from the woods kept them on edge all night, and they couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. By the time they packed up and left the next morning, they noticed tracks near their camp, but the man had vanished without a trace. 7. The Mystery of the Abandoned Cabin, USA. While hiking in a remote area of the Rocky Mountains, a group of friends discovered an abandoned cabin deep in the woods. Inside, they found strange symbols etched into the walls and old photographs scattered on the floor. One photograph, in particular, showed a group of people standing in front of the cabin, with a shadowy figure lurking in the background. The friends continued their hike, but the eerie presence of the cabin lingered in their minds. Sudden noises and the feeling of being watched intensified, and the friends couldn't help but wonder if they had stumbled upon something far darker than just an abandoned cabin. The shadowy figure in the photograph left them with more questions than answers. 8. The Mountain Man, Canada. In the wilds of Canada, a solo hiker was exploring a remote mountain trail. One evening, while setting up camp, he noticed something strange, a man walking through the woods in the distance. He thought nothing of it until the figure got closer and stopped just outside his camp. The man appeared to be dressed in ragged clothes and had long, unkempt hair. He didn't speak but simply stood there, staring at the hiker. The hiker tried to ignore him but felt an overwhelming sense of danger. After several minutes, the man disappeared into the woods as quietly as he had appeared. The next morning, the hiker found tracks near his camp, footprints in the snow that led to the campsite but stopped abruptly. The hiker couldn't shake the feeling that the man was still out there, watching him from the shadows of the mountains. The eerie encounter remained unexplained, and the hiker swore he would never hike alone in those woods again. There you have it, the top 8 scariest true stories from deep in the mountains. These stories remind us that sometimes, the wilderness is far more dangerous than we ever realize. If you enjoyed these chilling tales, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more terrifying adventures. Which story gave you the chills the most? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and keep exploring.